Hey, welcome back to another video. In this one, I've finally figured out what I'm going to do with my steering, and it's pretty much something I talked about, wasn't sure if it would work, didn't think it would work, was told by somebody else it would work, so I made it work. Let me show you. So when I last left you, I was having tie rod clearances between the knuckle and the rim. So I'd already gone through a whole bunch of stuff with these thicker flanged wheels as far as changing out my wheel studs to a longer stud. So I didn't want to do a full wheel spacer when really all I needed was about 3/8 inch. So of course, they make 1/4 inch and they make 1/2 inch. And 3/8 seems like it was going to be the sweet spot between making sure I had enough thread engagement on the lug nuts and making sure I had enough clearance from the tie rod end to the rim. So I purchased the 1/2 inch ones and had my buddy who has a lathe turn them down to 3/8. So if you're into sim racing at all, which is like 5 of you that are, GE Racing is an awesome channel. He also helped me out with some weldings. So if you don't have buddies, get some. They come in handy. I use whatever was laying around to basically build a makeshift spacer so that I could then check my tie rod to wheel clearance. So after trying some link tabs or old welding tabs or something, that's when I determined that 3/8 would be the perfect amount. So put that on. Should still have plenty of threads to grab with the lug nuts. Hold the wheel on good. Don't worry, I'm going to clean all that up before we ever get out on the road. No, probably not. Let me show you my tie rod and drag link. Noise. Just got finished putting anti-seize on there. As you can tell, dab will do ya. You can see we went ahead and we did a root pass on this, and then we did a secondary pass. Really not necessary. If you do a good root pass, you don't need to have all that extra on there, but either way, I don't feel like they're going anywhere. I got some good beefy tie rods on there. So here's the tie rod, and on the tie rod you can still see you've got the 1-ton tie rod end here, which this was a kit from East Coast Gear Supply if you're looking for that. And then on this end it's got the inverted Y-link, Haltenberger linkage, U-link, whatever. There's about a million different names for this style steering, which basically has your tie rod go into your drag link, or your drag link go into your tie rod. So let me get this hooked up and show you what it looks like. Gonna be a lot of editing on this one. All right, moment of truth. Do we have enough clearance between the rim and the tie rod end? Yes, perfect. That was the right spacer. 3/8 was it. I don't know if 1/4 inch would have done it or not. I think that can rock back and forth. Have a workable gap there. Yay. Not hitting. That grinding noise would just be the old rusty rotors, so no contact with the tie rod, so feel good about that. And looks like we have enough thread engagement, just barely, but it's the entire lug nut, so we'll call that good. All right, and installed. So originally when I was thinking of building this Jeep up and building this axle, I used a Ford high pinion axle, but I used Chevy outers. So that Chevy outers have a flat top knuckle, which allows you to get this high top knuckle up here. You can have the machine surface, and that lets you keep your steering up a little bit higher and run it right through here. Unfortunately, with the TJ frame, it just comes down so low in this spot that there's no way to really make that work. So my concern before was eventually I'd like to do a hydraulic assist on this, and I didn't know if you could put that much pressure through this style tie rod, the tie rod that has the other tie rod coming into it, because the hydraulic ram is going to come off the axle somewhere here or here and push onto this lower link, and I just didn't know if you could put that kind of pressure through it. But everyone assures me, and everyone I mean the internet, so you know, take that for a grain of salt, but we're going to go this route. So that's why that one tie rod doesn't match the other ones. It's all I could find locally. I've got the other stuff on order, so we'll step up to that when it arrives. It's still a 1-ton tie rod end. It's just, you know, an O'Reilly's brand instead of a stronger off-road brand. So taking a look at it, the angles look good. Of course, I don't have a Panhard bar yet, but so my issue now, upon getting them in there and taking a look at it, is it looks like I've put my front axle too far forward. I have some adjustable control arms that adjust way out, and I adjusted them way out because I wanted this axle to be as far forward as I could to be able to clear the big tires on the back of the fenders. And aesthetically, that's just where it looked best. So I put it all the way out there, but it looks like we're going to have some clearance issue if we look down this plane here. As this right front compresses, it looks like we're going to start pinching or running into some clearance issues, which that'll go away if I were to roll the axle back an inch and a half. That would give me that clearance between these two bars as they compress. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do, but overall the angle looks pretty darn good. Of course, like I said, I don't have a Panhard bar yet, but with this next venture truss, I've got this Panhard bar mount on the axle that has, I don't know if you can see, 3 holes in it, plus the factory one down there. My factory mount is tucked way up back here, and I'd like to move it forward so that that Panhard bar can move right through here. And that's where this guy is going to come into play. This is going to go right up here on the frame, sneak up in there, and give me some mounting options, because in order for this not to have bump steer, I need to have the upper bar on the same plane as the Panhard bar. Now I'm not sure if it's the angle of the pitman arm to here or to here, but those are pretty close, and I think between 4 holes on that side and 3 holes on this side, we should be able to find something that works. So, well, that's going to do it for this one. That's one step closer. One way to do steering on a TJ axle swap with a high pinion 44 and a Dana 44 Chevy knuckle outers with high steer arms that you're not using. So, hey, so what did I learn on this one? I learned you can't possibly be too prepared. Every single time I seem to think I have a plan ahead of time, it goes awry. I think I spent $400 or $500 on having those high steer arms machined and sent out, and buying the high steer arms, all to end up going with a different style steering. So at least the steering links, those all still work, so I was able to switch those down, just had to buy 1 extra tie rod. So yeah, go ahead and research all you want. You really won't know what you're doing until you get in there and everything starts crashing into themselves. So I think I should drink before I do these. It might help me speak. Yeah. So anyways, I don't know if it seemed any brighter in this one, but I do have my lights installed now. Some lights helping out, but it's also pretty bright outside. But anyways, if you like the video, really would appreciate share and subscribe. Give me a comment. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's gone down this road. Tell me what you did that worked and what didn't work, because I'm marching along slowly but surely. Thanks, and have a good one.